So they frame us, illegitimately sold us a bill of lies. So as you look at the beautiful American flag on my shirt and put on the side of a popular restaurant here in South Knoxville, the topic of discussion today is that they frame us. People in government power frame us. We're going to talk about that today. Names, dates, places, and times. So join us. You're welcome to the Charles Van Morgan Show. We're going to describe specifically how they frame us. So somebody let me know if you can hear me. Thank y'all very much for joining. Talking about the government, people in power in the United States of America, specifically in Tennessee and all over the world, maybe your government too. They frame you and put out propaganda that's false, that leads you in the wrong direction, doesn't tell you the truth about what's going on in the government. And they do that here in the state of Tennessee. And you pay for their propaganda. You pay for their framing of you with your tax dollars. And they won't let us speak the truth. Oh yeah, we know you're here, idiot. So yeah, the loud pipes, and people know that I'm out here. You can see how they try to ruin my audio. Sometimes it ruins itself. But thank y'all for joining. This is the Charles Van Morgan Show. Welcome. You've heard we had a record high. Over 100,000 people watched on our last show. So the truth is getting out as long as we can. I don't know how long they'll allow me to walk as a free citizen, because I'm exercising the Constitution, bringing a grievance against the government. That's on paper it's allowed, but in reality it's not. That's the frame. That we have a Constitution in the United States of America. It's written in the First Amendment, in the frame. That's how they frame it. But right now in the United States of America, in the state of Tennessee, the Constitution, the First Amendment, a lot of the amendments, your rights protection against the government, are worthless. They are not worth the ink that puts them on the piece of paper. That's part of their framing, that we have a Constitution in America. We're better than Russia. We need to contest Russia, send arms to Iran, and send arms to other countries to defend them against the United States, against Russia, and protect other countries, because we have a Constitution in America, and send arms to Zelensky. But the truth is, in America, there's a lot of framing going on, a lot of lies going on that tell you stuff about the government, about themselves, that is absolutely positively not true. One of them is the Constitution that soldiers fight and die for. They step all over it. Their conscience is seared. They don't act on the words that they swore to protect, but they frame it as they do, as they are obeying the Constitution. It's called framing, and they put out a lot of information to put stuff in a perspective that makes you go along with their program when it's all messed up. I'm telling you, we are not, but we need to be in a war with our government, our own government in the United States. Not a violent war. I'm not promoting any kind of violence. They'd love to hear me say that. Give them a real reason to put me in jail. They're looking for a reason. I know they are, every day, monitoring everything I say. You're not the only one listening to me. They are. Why? Because they want to protect the Constitution? No, because they want to shut down my truth telling. And it's real and prevalent. The heat is on. And I'm not doing anything wrong. They are. That's why they want to shut me down, because I'm pointing out what they're doing wrong. to you. And if you don't know it yet, you should be in a political war fighting against your government taking away your rights. Political meaning non-violent. And non-violent means if anybody's involved in any kind of violence, I'm not behind that, nor do I promote it. I am promoting political war against the government by enforcing our constitutional rights and then making them enforce it, because they don't right now. The propaganda is foreign enemies and domestic enemies against the government. The truth is, we have a foreign enemy in the United States of America. It's called the government. People in government power substantially, now not all of them, substantially have taken control of your government and are destroying it, selling it out to foreigners. It's even on a little bit, you get a little nibble of the truth coming out from both political candidates in the Republican governor's race in the state of Tennessee, and it's a Republican governor's race. The Democrats don't have a chance in hell. It's already predetermined who's going to win, and you get a little bit of the truth coming out. They're telling you, don't let China buy up our land. So evidently, both of them are saying that. So evidently that's a problem. They're pointing to a foreign enemy, Chinese, buying up our land. Both of the Republicans going at each other with millions of dollars. I mean, you see a commercial about every 5 minutes now, and you're not paying for that. Who's paying for that? Maybe foreign enemies are funding these political campaigns. We don't know where the money's coming from a lot of times because they've set up PACs that are illegal. So they are framing things. They frame things to make things look in a particular way that benefits them, but it's not the truth. And that is your government doing that. People in government power are telling you what to believe by their framing, by how they say words. They're very talented and skilled liars. A lot of them are lawyers. And they know how to word things. They know how to say things that lead you in the wrong way. They fabricate evidence. And they're destroying America and destroying the state of Tennessee. They've been destroying it for years. And it's come to the point where you can't believe a damn word anybody in the government says. They lie. If they're not the one lying, they're helping somebody else in the government lie. We should be, and I'm promoting a political war against our government. No one else is doing that. And I'm doing it in a lot of ways. I'm on the governor's ballot. I have civil litigation. And this channel, speaking to millions of people. You don't fight a war with just one method, one mechanism. You have several ways that you do it. Some I won't even talk about on here unless you're in the inner circle. Then you don't know the other methods, but there's a lot of them. And this is not a game. This is a real, legitimate, lawful fight against the government who is deceiving you, selling you a bill of goods that only benefits them. It only benefits them. This government is not beneficial to you. It doesn't govern for the peace and prosperity and the safety of all Tennesseans. And it doesn't govern for the peace, prosperity, and safety of all Americans. Now you can see that from the White House down and from the state governments up all across America. Now I'm not saying that the White House is bad, but even if you win an election, you win the will of the people substantially, majorly. Do you get to run the government for 4 years like you want? You see all the trouble. You see all the stuff that's going on when they literally impeach presidents multiple times. It's not the will of the people. It's the will of the corporations. It's the will of foreign countries. It's the will of people in power by themselves, for themselves. That's not a novel phenomenon. It's been known for years. It's called conflict. Groups in power fight for resources, scarce resources, and they form groups. You know, people think it's a Republican and Democrat groups, a Republican group, Democrat group. No, it's all one group. Republican, Democrat, same party, same group, same people in power, fighting a little bit for a little bit more of the pie, that they got the whole damn thing and you have breadcrumbs of it. Maybe they dribble off a little bit of the crust. People in power are framing things to make you believe that we have legitimate, free, and fair elections, and that the enemies are foreign, Chinese, and Russia going against Ukraine, and we need to be supporting these other rogue countries against these other rogue countries that fight us and that fight other countries and take over other countries wrongly. That we have elections in America where people get elected by the will of the people, and I'm telling you that's not true. That's framing. That's how to frame it. So here we have a police officer, and they just promoted several the other day, which is okay. Maybe they got some of the best ones. Sometimes they mess up their own thinking and promote people that they don't think they should. He's been on that for a time now. Shut up. Well, I don't think I'm going to. So, they promoted about 11 people here in Knoxville in the police department, and which is sometimes good. Sometimes they mess up and promote people that are good for the public. They literally do. I've met some of them. Some of the best people are supervisors. They know how to play. They know how to play both games. They're honest, good people for the most part. The most people that get promoted in law enforcement, however, what kind of jackass thinks that he's a great person because he's got the loudest pipes? I mean, I'm a star. I think that's amazing to me. But how about the loudest voice that speaks for the people in the state of Tennessee and in the United States of America and all throughout the world? Join this movement. You're watching the Charles Van Morgan Show, where we unbridled news, the pure truth, help us get the message out. Subscribe to the channel. We're talking about branding and framing today, how they frame stuff to fit a narrative, to sell you a bill of goods. That's a dirty lie, and we're going to talk about names, dates, places, and times, and how they do this stuff. You can find examples all over the state of Tennessee. A few that I know of personally. In the Holy Scriptures, before they issue the death penalty, and we're trying to give people in government power the political death penalty. It's out of the mouth of two witnesses or more, eyewitnesses to this. So I'm one eyewitness, and there are many other ones, but they're too afraid to come forward, because if they do, they'll try to do them like they did me and try to have me killed, try to have me assassinated, but it hasn't worked yet. And you're subscribing to the channel help me stay alive and keep putting this out, because it makes it much harder for them to demoralize or to kill me, which they would love to do, people in government power. Now, you don't hear that from any other commentator there or news person. My speech, protected under the First Amendment, completely peaceful. I'm not advocating violence against them. They're advocating violence against me. And they are, and they have done it. It's not conspiracy. They have done it. They literally put me in the hospital. You won't hear any other commentator that their speech is so powerful, so truthful, so blatantly honest, so for the protection of the public, that I'm putting my own life at risk for you, and they would like to kill me to shut it down, and they already have put me in jail for peaceful speech being on the ballot, playing by their rules. Playing by their rules doesn't matter to them. You can play by their rules as long as you brag on them and talk about how great they are and cover up their lies. You get on a channel or run for office and peacefully speak about winning elections so that you can change things peacefully, and they get violent, very extremely violent. And who's they? People in government power right now. And I can name a few. They're violent, dirty, deceitful, and they do commit dastardly deeds they have against me. You won't hear another candidate for public office saying that. My speech is so powerful for the mass populace of Tennesseans, you, and for the mass populace of Americans, that it is dangerous for me to say, peacefully vote for me. I'm not allowed to do that in every city in Tennessee because of violence by the government. For saying go vote for me. Literally happened. I'm not making this up. No other candidates like that. Why? Because I'm brutally honest against them. I'm telling you, we're at war against our own government. 2026, July 2026, we're at war against the people in American government power, not necessarily in the White House. A lot of them secretly are at war against the very president that they work for. They spread lies to try to take down America from the inside, from inside government. These people frame things to make it look like, give the appearance of that they are for you, that they're serving you, that they're self-sacrificing, God-fearing people that serve the public that they swore to serve. And they're not doing that at all. They are trying to destroy America from the government out, and doing it by framing and lying to the mass populace of Tennesseans. At no time in my lifetime, and I'm not a novice, I'm not a kid, have I ever seen, and people will have to agree, they think this is conspiracy, most people agree, the amount and magnitude, huge, of going on of deception in the United States of America among people and among people in our government power, which is what you need to worry about. They have power over our lives. Smiling in front of the cameras, speaking words that everybody loves to hear. Peace, freedom, prosperity, they're fighting for you. Tell you what they gave you in your mailbox every day, paid for you, and it's all lies. It's not true. They seek to destroy you and anybody like me, and they put out a few breadcrumbs to make you think that they're serving you, and they frame it like they give their heart and soul for America while they're stepping on the blood of soldiers, carrying special powers that they wouldn't have except being in government power that they shouldn't have, and they're spreading that every day. We're at literal war with people in our own government, and this is a political war. This is a war of messaging, of framing. So I'm going to reframe some things today that they're trying to lie to you about. They're selling you a story, a bill of goods that's not true. Absolutely not true. It's easy to figure out if you think about it. But part of the way they get by with what they're doing, you keep telling a lie long enough, loud enough, it becomes accepted as the truth, easier to believe. The first thing people hear is usually what they believe. The truth is way down here, right now, right here, with Charles Van Morgan Unbridled News, that you won't hear anywhere else. And people don't, they think people won't believe it because usually people only believe what they hear first. Well, this is not first. It has been first because it's not been loud yet, but it's getting loud. 100,000 people on the last show. You're part of a movement that will take over this state legitimately through elections and take over the United States of America through truth. The civil rights movement was great. Helped a lot of people. The government conspired against that movement. The FBI conspired against leaders of the civil rights movement who took a brick and didn't fight back. Now, I won't take a brick and won't fight back. You throw a brick at me, I'll defend myself against you. And that's not this kind of fight to take whatever abuse that they give us. Defend your lives. Defend yourself against serious bodily injury or death if unlawfully delivered by anybody in the government. This ain't that kind of fight. We got every right to do that. People misunderstand. Maybe they never met me. They don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm not a toy. And this movement is not a toy. This movement cannot be crushed. It will not be crushed. In fact, you say, well, you were talking about them assassinating you. That'll end the movement. No, it won't. And this is a warning to all government officials. And I don't think that this will happen. But if I end up dead, which is a possibility because of the truth I'm putting out. And again, this is peaceful speech. I'm running for public office trying to get elected. This is how important this is. It's not extreme. It's what you need to hear. Now, they'll paint me as a lot of ways, frame stuff, but I'm telling you the truth that you need to listen to. If you don't blame me when bad stuff happens to you, and it has in the past. I'm for your peace, safety, prosperity. So if I end up dead, I don't take unnecessary chances, and I'm not suicidal. So it's not an accident. and I didn't kill myself, it's probably, most likely, somebody in government power or a hit job paid for somebody in government power. Now that's the magnitude of the truth that is so very damaging to them. And my message is that the government's at war with you, people in government power, to maintain power for themselves. They're not for you. And they're dangerous to you and your family. And we need to fight them through legitimate means, through voting. And they want to fight me through wiping me off the planet, putting me in jail where I can't speak, where I can't campaign, and let these people run their $1 million campaigns all over the airways every day and frame lies. And they're even telling you what's important. Foreign countries taking over this government. And to a large extent, they already have. So if you kill me in people in government power, hey, that broadens the message. That would make me a hero. And that would broaden the message. So government, people in government power, that makes it worse. That would make it worse on you. So don't do that. And you know, it'll just spread the message more, because I'm telling you, the heat's on. I know it is. I know a lot of things that the public's not privy to. It is on. They may very well try to assassinate me. And if they do, it makes it worse. Like Dr. Martin Luther King's message made it worse. And his message spread like wildfire. After they assassinated, they thought it shut it up, so that makes it worse. So people in government power, if you decide to kill me, it's just going to make it worse. And also, your best bet is to try to discredit me like you've been trying to do. It's worked pretty good so far. And mark me off as somebody not to be believed. Let me live. So kill me at your own risk. At your own, it'll make it worse. So your best bet is to let me live and speak and try to discredit me as I discredit you truthfully. And so you're just making it worse if you do that. If you put me in jail again, and they threatened the other day. This is not something I'm just making up because I'm paranoid. I mean, they literally threatened me the other day. You want to hear it on camera, on screen? For campaigning. Would they do that to the other political candidates in the parties, Democrat or Republican? No, they're allowed to speak freely all across the state of Tennessee. If you said something to them or tried to hurt them, a member of the public, they would protect the candidate from you attacking the candidate. In Tennessee, a unbridled candidate that's fighting for the mass populace of Tennesseans, they will hang me out and try to get me hurt by the public. Telling me in broad daylight to the public, open to the public, that I don't deserve respect. You can hurt him. He doesn't deserve respect. He's not respectable. What do you do to not respectable people? You try to hurt them. Somebody in a police uniform. That's what they did. That's what's in their heart. Not because I'm lying to you, because I'm speaking for your protection, because they get paid to protect you, but they don't protect you. They don't protect you. They protect the badge, and they protect the political candidates that are going to protect them. It's all a racket. It's all a system designed to protect people in power, by people in power, for people in power. And the examples of them doing it are so very obvious. You have right here, and you know in your county, you can point out stuff. In your state, in your country, you see stuff every day that you say, hey, yeah, I know what's going on. That's not right. That's the government mistreating us. And they do. And it can be better. We're not in heaven yet, but we can make it where we can speak the truth. No thought crimes. A candidate for the governor just the other day in one of the parties is mentioned to you. Now he's framing because he won't protect your constitutional rights, but he was mentioning a thought crime. They're getting into thought crimes in the government. He's telling you, he's in the government power now. And he's telling you that the government, telling on them, is involved in thought crimes and freedom of speech crimes against you, shutting it down. And telling you he's not for that. He's in government right now. What's he doing about it? He's part of the thought crimes, spreading disinformation about the COVID vaccine, standing on a campaign of freedom, and the freedom people liberty people stand on the platform of liberty and freedom, and the liberty people are involved in one of the biggest cover-ups that you've ever seen in the nation, a cover-up that's got a lot of people killed. And he's admitting that there's thought crimes, and he doesn't agree with that. But he's in government power now, and he does agree with it because he's doing that, thought crimes, because he's running on freedom and liberty. And he'll say that every day, liberty and freedom. And then he goes about to try to take your liberty and freedom away. And he's in power now, and he promoted the conspiracy theories about the COVID vaccine. That's a conspiracy theory that the COVID vaccine will kill you, that it's killing people. That's not true. It's absolutely not true. Vaccines save people's lives. It's science. It has for years and years. Vaccines have eradicated some diseases. And he's of the Liberty Party, that the COVID vaccine killed people, and it's bad. Now, the truth of the matter is, if you're for liberty and freedom, and if you buy that theory, that conspiracy, that's fine. But he's in government promoting that. That's fine. You don't have to get the vaccine. Hey, no problem. And it's not an issue now, but it was, and that's what he did at the time. And he's still doing that now. The COVID vaccine saved lives. I know people that died, and they still say that vaccine would have killed them. Their relatives did, but not getting the vaccine is what killed them. And I know that's not popular to say, but scientifically, that's the truth. That vaccine was liberty. It was freedom. You had the freedom to get it, or you had the freedom to deny it. And he's trying to say you don't have the freedom to get it substantially. That's not running on liberty. That's not running on freedom. That's a thought crime that he's perpetrating while he's speaking out against it. They frame things. They frame things to make you believe a certain way. It had people scared all over the United States, all over the state of Tennessee, to try to restrict your freedom by their fear-mongering. That's what they do a lot. And I'm telling you, asking you and telling you to fear them. They're to be feared, and the way to stop them from running over you and destroying America is to vote. They're telling you the best thing to do is not get vaccinated. Well, that'll kill you. That'll kill you. Don't listen to these people in government power. They're not telling you the truth. Obey the law, but the laws need to be changed. The government needs to be reformed back to the Constitution the way it's supposed to be. It's not right now. It's a facade that you have a government that represents you. That's just absolutely not true. The government in the state of Tennessee represents the elite, powerful, rich people. Look who's on television every 5 minutes running commercials. Where'd they get all that money from? The people paying the bills, the rich corporations and rich, powerful people that want the government to serve them. And this is the only chance you may get. Charles Van Morgan, Unbridled News. We're fighting them in a lot of ways. We know what the war is. We know what the battle is. We're drawing the lines and telling you. You have to know where your enemy is. You have to see them. And I'm telling you who they are. The biggest enemy in America right now is not poverty, not the cost of food. That's a result of the enemy. The enemy will starve you out and kill you. The biggest enemy in the United States of America right now in the state of Tennessee is people in government power that are squandering all that you have and taking it for their gluttonous selves. The enemy is the government, people in power. As a citizen of the United States, under the First Amendment, I'm allowed to say that. Why would they not let me say that? If it weren't true, they would just defend themselves against me and call me a raving lunatic. But they can't say that because they know that most Americans believe what I'm saying. That's why there's about 4 million people that have listened to me, 100,000 every day, because I'm telling you the truth about the people in government. Almost every damn one of them. You can't trust them. You can't trust a word they say. They frame things to make you believe what they're saying. Here in Knox County, just one example of framing. They say elections are free and fair elections. We need to worry about Ukraine's elections. Zelensky didn't get elected like he should. We don't need to worry about Ukraine. We should help Ukraine all we can, not at the expense of roads and the sovereignty and peace and safety of American citizens. But they allege that that's not a free and fair election country. Look in the mirror. How about the people that are saying that, pointing you in another direction, framing it? Worry about other countries. Don't worry about us. We're good here. We're elected in office. We got here the right way, the fair way. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. They're not getting there the right way and the fair way now. They're deceiving you every day in every way by framing, using their courtrooms to frame. Right here in Knox County, Tennessee. And in your county too. You can think of the lie they tried to sell you. They're prosecuting 11 sheriff deputies, some former, some of them were presently deputies at the time of the indictment, high-ranking officials, prosecuting them, while some of them were running for office to get more power. They held the indictments for almost 10 years while they were in office and while they were running for office, before they came out with indictments after the election was over. Hopefully y'all can hear me. After the election was over, they come up with indictments. Wow. How horrific is that? So, like, share, and comment. They come up with indictments after the election is over. They start indicting people. The public, unaware that these people were suspected of violating the public trust, they knew that. And they held on to the information to the public where we should have been privy to, and held an election, then come out with it after the election's over. And I'm not just saying that. It's not just me saying that. It's not my conspiracy theory. One of the candidates that didn't get elected, that was not a member of the sheriff's department, had no way to know, didn't work there for years, wasn't under the, where he could watch them and see what they were doing. He didn't drive past them while they were on company time remodeling their cars while your Caesar money was paying for it. He wasn't privy to any of that. He was privy to none of that. And he didn't get elected because the truthful information, the public didn't have access to all the information. He put that out. Filed a complaint with the Republican Party. So I'm not the one saying that. I'm just telling you, we don't have free and fair elections in Knox County. Now, the Republican Party, as great and honest as they are, they're not honest at all. They're Republicans. Still allowed the sheriff that got, they say, elected by the people. He didn't get elected by the people. He got elected by lies, by fraud, by deception. I've met him personally. Straighten up. I'm not afraid of you. You have me arrested. You know what it's about, because I'm speaking the truth to power. I'm not the one that said that the election wasn't free and fair. Somebody else said it. I'm just repeating the truth of what they said. They won't say it as blatantly as me. But the sheriff's race in Knox County, people have the authority of law to go around killing people justifiably. Rigged election. They rigged it. It's a rigged election. It wasn't a free and fair election in Knox County. We don't have an elected sheriff by the people with the full information that they should have known about. I didn't say that. One of the candidates said that quietly, trying to straighten the system out, trying to make things right, but he couldn't because of the lies and the deception involved in the sheriff's election that happened in the primary, because there's no Democrat running. So we don't have free and fair elections. We got a bunch of lies, and we got framing, and we got deception, total dishonesty, public corruption in our elections. And that's known here in Knox County. What about your county? What do they do to lie to you that goes uncovered, unreported by the news media? The news media covered that, but they didn't cover it like they should have. And that same sheriff who's now sheriff-elect, who's going to get public power, and the public didn't know all the details of what went on. They didn't know that there was crime going on, potentially in the sheriff's department, when he was working for the sheriff's department, that he could have seen. Did he drive past them when they were fixing their cars instead of protecting you? Did he know about that? He worked there. He was a high-ranking official there. Did he know about the theft of the money and not report it? Now, they haven't charged him. So they have alleged, and if you believe them, that he wasn't a part of that. And I'm not saying he was. I'm saying that he worked there when that was going on. Did he know about it? I mean, they had to have been fixing cars on job time while he was on the job. Did he not know about that? Is he that dumb? Do you want him to be your sheriff when there's crime going on in the very agency that he's at, that he didn't pick it up, that has been alleged? I mean, really? So is he part of the cover-up? I think so, personally. I've met him. I'm not impressed. I know what he's doing now. I know he might have me thrown in jail, not for committing a crime, for speaking politically about him. He's a politician. I've got a right to run him down and tell the truth. If he's got something good to do, let him do it. Let him do something good. He's still got 4 years in office. Let's see what he does. Will he put me in jail for asking him, did he know about any of that? Was he on duty? He was close to these people. Why didn't he report it if he did? Crimes against society. And maybe he's got a good answer. I don't know. What happens if I go to jail here in Knox County? That's because I spoke truthfully against the sheriff. That's not supposed to happen in the Constitution, but there's a good likelihood it could. So when he puts me in jail, you know what it's about. The sitting sheriff is putting me in jail, not for violence. I don't promote any violence. For saying that a crime was alleged in his own agency, that he was in a high administration, that he worked there for years. And why didn't he know if he did? How's he going to uncover crime if he can't see it right under his nose? So maybe he's got a good explanation for that. I don't think he does. I really don't think that he does have a good explanation for that. And that's not the least of it that this sheriff in Knox County is doing. You thought the crime by sheriffs was in the past. But let's look at the present. You in jail for, okay, I don't know what they're saying. So people in government power are crooked, a lot of them. And this sheriff right here in Knox County, the new sheriff, going to serve 4 years. I've met him, you know. He did shake my hand. But he needs to stand up when he talks to the people he serves. You have to stand up for him. He won't stand up for you. He's better than you. He sat in a department for 30-something years, 20-something years, retired in that department, high-ranking official, under the very nose and watchful eye of alleged crime going on. Did he not know his sheriff was stealing seizure money? Did he not see them repairing their cars on company time, on your time, at the sheriff's department facilities? He was there. He didn't see that crime if it took place. If he didn't, why didn't he? Is he going to be able to find crime? He's the sheriff, supposed to make us safer. He couldn't find crime in his own agency if he didn't see it. And apparently he didn't, or he's seen it and ignored it. Neither one of them's very good. If in fact it did go on, my personal opinion is that it did. And I want to say briefly, people think I'm difficult and hard and don't care about people. You know, those people I think have done wrong in the sheriff's department. 11 elected officials and 11 sheriff's deputies, and they're elected too, like the sheriff. They're actually the deputy sheriffs, are representing the sheriffs. And I would ask the public, they have been from a position of power and authority. Now, while they may have abused that, they have fallen all the way to alleged criminals. And you can see their faces from when one of them was running for sheriff to now in a courtroom, sitting in the same courtrooms, ironically, that they put people in, some of them maybe justifiably. So they've fallen from grace pretty far. That's a hard pill to take for any human being, regardless of guilt. And I don't know, it hadn't been decided yet. I know how the inner things work in sheriff's departments and police departments. So I would ask the public to pray for these people, even if they're guilty. Pray for their souls, pray for their hearts, pray for their safety, and pray that justice will be done. But pray for them and their spirits, that if they've done wrong, God will help them to do better. In the Holy Word of God, it says pray for your enemies. Now, I don't think you ought to pray they ought to be successful, but they're pretty dismantled now. So I would ask the public to pray for all these deputy sheriffs that are indicted here in Knox County. Pray for their safety, pray for their well-being, pray for their families, even if they committed a crime, which I don't know. Pray for those people. That's a hard pill to take. We're all human. We all make mistakes, sometimes not as dramatically and purposefully as they are saying, but they're human beings on the planet. Pray for them. And pray that they'll do better if they've done wrong. And pray that they'll make the world a better place now. Or if they're not guilty, pray they'll be exonerated. And the culprit behind the lies, pray that they get caught. But they're not in a position to hurt society anymore. And we shouldn't pray for enemies to be successful in their evil endeavors. That's not what praying for your enemy means. What praying for your enemy means is praying for the deputy sheriffs that have been accused of crimes, and praying for their safety, health, protection, and well-being, and for better in their lives if they are guilty of the crime, and if they are guilty, for mercy. That if they stop and correct things, that for mercy on those people. Because I know what it feels like. I didn't commit any crime like they did. It was unsuspected in my case. But I have been taken from a position of power and authority. In my case, it was wrongfully, and I know how devastating it is. So my heart goes out to them, even if they've done something wrong. They can't now, and we need to pray for them and their families. And I do pray for them, for the best in their life, for God's will in their life on the planet. And also, we have the sitting sheriff that's going to be the sitting sheriff. And I'm not going to call him by name by purpose. If you want to find out, you can look him up. I'm not impressed. I didn't vote for him, nor would I, unless he straightens out his ways. And you'll know why I go to jail if I do here in Knox County, because I'm speaking out against somebody in public office under the First Amendment. It's because he's violating the First Amendment, because I have no ill will towards him to do anything violent. I have a will to speak the truth to power, which is what I do, which is why you need to subscribe to this channel. No one else will. Imagine speaking out against a upcoming, going to be sworn in sitting sheriff with the power to kill me to protect the public. But he was in the sheriff's department, high-ranking official, while this alleged crime was going on. So did he not see it? What kind of sheriff is he going to be if he's seen this blatant wrong and didn't report it? So yeah, what kind of sheriff is that? So we are having trouble with the volume. We'll have to buy a new microphone. So help me buy some more microphone equipment to keep the volume going. Give a donation to the channel or the governor campaign. So either didn't know and didn't report it because he didn't know. What kind of sheriff is he going to be, having to uncover crime when he can't see it right under his nose, if in fact it was happening? And then the other thing about it is, as we're at the Henley Bridge, is that we don't have much viewership today for whatever reason. So like, share, and subscribe. Let's get the views up. Can y'all hear me, or what is the damn issue? Okay. So, testing 1, 2, 3. So either didn't know, and what kind of sheriff is that going to be, or he knew and covered it up for the people in power. What kind of sheriff is that going to be? Now, I'm not demoralizing him. Let's see how well he does when he's in office. And also, that's not the least of it. He's out lining up his entourage of people here in Tennessee to get in power to help him. Get across the road. He's out getting people, promoting, recommending, endorsing members of the judiciary that are running for public office, that have been part of this Knoxville crooked establishment for decades. That hasn't protected you. And he's out endorsing judges. So you think about it, he's going to be the sitting sheriff. And his keynote issues that he's promoting publicly, trying to get the message out, is not about public safety. It's aligning his entourage of power to back up his power. I mean, you think about it. He's endorsing a candidate for a judicial judgeship that's going to sit right here in the city-county building, that he's going to go before, and he's helped him get elected, and he's going to go before while the judge that he helped, and he's going to tell them to prosecute you, the judge to prosecute you. Now, you have one vote. He's got influence over hundreds of thousands. And all that power sitting there that helped that judge sit there because he's telling people to vote for her. So she's going to know that he helped her. And he represents hundreds of thousands of people that he influences. So you're there before him because he brought you in before her and accused you of a crime. He's seen a crime that you committed, but didn't see a crime that was going on under his nose at the sheriff's department that he worked for, allegedly. Couldn't see it or saw it and chose to ignore crimes by a government. Either way, it's not okay. So now he's out endorsing the candidate for governor. Excuse me. He's probably endorsing a Republican candidate, but he's out endorsing directly, not directly intervening in any race statewide that I've heard, but he's out not talking about public safety and crime, because evidently he's too stupid to see it under his nose at the department he worked for, or he knows it was there and ignored it, or it didn't happen, which I think that it did. The district attorney's office thinks that it did. They're having a special prosecutor prosecute him after they're out of power. So what I'm saying is, you look at the beautiful view. Wow, something's going wrong. What I'm saying is that he's endorsing his entourage. He's endorsing a judicial candidate that's going to sit in judgment of him. That's an unfair, stacked deck. The judge is going to rule for him and prosecute you even if you're not guilty. You got one vote. He's got thousands of votes that he can give her, and he's got hundreds of thousands of people that he influences. So if you're accused of a crime by him, whether or not you're guilty or not, I think you're going to be found guilty by the judge that he's given the seat to, because he's endorsing a judge. And I know the judge. I've met him personally. I spoke out about them to their face while they were here in a meeting that I went to. You can find it. I'm not afraid of these people. They're afraid of me, not by violence, because they're afraid of the truth. Now, she may get elected. What chance do I have going before that judge when I'm speaking the truth about her. She sat right in this courthouse under Judge Baumgardner, probably seen a crime going, and her Attorney General's office that she worked in knew about crime, covered up some by people in power, and she's been at that courthouse for years, part of the crooked, and she's going to be able to adjudicate me. I think I'll be found guilty if I'm stone cold innocent. Just like if you're stone cold sober, you go to jail in Tennessee. It doesn't make any damn difference. They're framing their entourage. This is just free and fair elections. This is just politics. No, it's not. It's criminal activity going on by people in state power, in the government, and they frame it as he's just endorsing her. No, he's not. He's lining up his entourage, lining up a judge to find everybody he brings in guilty to make him look like a hero. Everybody he brings in was convicted and prosecuted by a judge and a jury, and it's complete due process. No, it's not. It's rigged. They frame it. He's just endorsing a judge. Yeah, he's not endorsing other people all across the state. The judge that sits right under his nose that can rule in his favor. You see how that's done, how that's rigged? But let's worry about Ukraine's sovereignty when we're losing our sovereignty in America right now. And that's just one way they're rigging elections. We're going to talk about their framing when we get to our signature location. Hop on board, like, share, and comment. And we're going to give you names, dates, places, and times, how the government frames things against you in their favor. And they lie, cheat, rob, and steal, and defraud you. We're at war with the people in government power right now. This country's being overrun by fraud, deceit, and lies. And we're going to fight that tooth and nail with the truth. So subscribe to the channel, like and share. And I must be having volume problems because the views are way down. So, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of ways they try to stop the message and freedom of speech. Hopefully you can hear me or get enough out of it to matter. If not, I'll be back on here another day too. But hang on with me. We got some real good stuff for you. It is Friday morning here in Knoxville, Tennessee. We're talking about framing and how the government frames things to cover up their crimes. And they're deceptive against you. We're going to talk about some real cases, real names, dates, and times. And I just mentioned the sheriff's race, how that was rigged. And I'm not the one that said it. Another candidate said it. I'm just repeating what they said and agreeing with him. He didn't work at the sheriff's department. He didn't know about all that stuff. The sheriff that got elected either knew or should have known. And now he's lining up the judiciary to where it doesn't matter if he knew or shouldn't have known. Whatever he says is going to be adjudicated correct by a judge that he helped get elected. And if he don't like me saying that, he's got a lump. It's called the Constitution, First Amendment rights. He's got a lot of power over you, is what I'm saying true? Are you likely to go to jail even if you didn't get a crime even if you didn't commit a crime because he accused you of it and helped the judge get elected? I think so. That's what I think. That's my opinion. Hello. That's my opinion. What's yours? We're allowed to have an opinion against people in power in public office. As we set up at our signature location, multiple United candidates. Okay, can you all hear me? Somebody tell me if you can hear me. We don't have a lot of views on the channel today, so quite frankly don't understand that, but so we don't have a lot of views. I don't understand that as you look at that beautiful view. So like, share, comment, and America live in a bubble. That's right. Unless we keep our borders open. No, we don't. We need to close down our borders. So, wow. So let's talk about the framing. How they frame you. In the great state of Tennessee. The framing that goes on under your watchful eye. In the great state of Tennessee. By people in government power. So, they frame up the news. It's framed in their favor. They make backhaul deals at the city-county building. THP supervisors have been trained to, when these government officials commit lies, they claim it's their county, let them do whatever they want to do. The sheriff lining up his judges, endorsing a judicial candidate that he's going to sit right under. There's a reason for that. And both of them sat under Judge Baumgardner. He's doing that to get rulings in his favor. It's not a fair election. Almost a 10-year between the crime and when they charge these people. That's horrific. 10 years. And all top and public officials know why they don't work for you. They work for them. They even admit it. Deception's worse. Not in any time in my life have I seen so much deception. And I'm a witness to it. And others are too. And also, they're silent about a lot of things. Silence is a message to what we should know that we don't. When they don't come forth with the story. We've got several wrecks involving police officers that we don't know what happened. And they happened months ago when they're supposed to be investigating it. They wait till the story goes cold and hope you'll forget, even though I filed public information request. So, framing, the real dark alley. People think framing and misconduct in government is rare. They point to one textbook case that the government puts out that they caught it, a wrongful conviction, an overturned verdict. And they say, see, it happened, we caught it, we got it, the system worked, it's fixed now. That's what they tell you. So they point to the case that got overturned and say it's cured, the system works like it should. That's not true. Don't believe that. I've been on the inside of these buildings. I've met these legislators, I've met these judges, I've met these police officers. I know how they operate when the cameras aren't in the room. Not all of them, too many to count. So let's make sure y'all can hear me. Wow, went up to over 200. Too many to count. You're taught to be afraid of the dark alley. Right over here, behind Market Square, dark alley. A woman allegedly got raped there. You're taught to be afraid of that. Everybody knows don't go in the dark alley. Don't walk there at night. That's where the crime happens. But the real dark alley in this state isn't the dark alley. It's on the street corners, in the alleys. The real crime is not in the dark alleys or on the street corners. It's judges' chambers with the doors closed. It's a legislator's office after the public session ends. It's the governor's mansion in the room where nobody's taking notes. Nobody's filming the hallway. That's the actual dark alley It's better lit, better dressed, and more dangerous than any dark alley in the state of Tennessee. Because where you have one person that is horrifically abused, maybe murdered, across Tennessee in the alleys of the government's office where the crime really takes place, it affects public policy that kills thousands and thousands. That's not conspiracy theory, that's mainstream logic, sociology 101. They don't want me to say what science says, I'll tell you. Today, I'm going to walk you through it, case by case, law by law, name by name. The real dark alley is not behind Market Square or in your city and county at night in the dark where you know to avoid. It's in the government. Case by case, not because it's rare, because I think it's not rare. It happens a lot more than the rapes and murders in a dark alley, and you're subject to it. It's deceitful. It's framing. They don't tell you about that. I'm going to reframe it, tell you the truth about this stuff. Made to look guilty of something you didn't do. That's what real crime looks like. Let me clean off the screen. That's what real crime looks like. Is the government, people in power, in your government, framing you. You ever heard of that? People say, well, it's framed. So it's a phenomenon. They point out everybody says they're framed. Everybody in jail says they're not guilty. And you think you're walking around in a free country, a free state, where if you didn't commit a crime, you won't be convicted. You won't be framed. That's the rare case. And when it is found, they find it and uncover it and unturn it and pay the victim. That's not true. That's their framing. Because it happens all the time. And it's reframed. Look at the mass number of illegal arrests for DUI perpetrated by the Highway Patrol. And that's just a drop in the bucket. Framed means made to look guilty of a crime that you didn't do. That's the real crime. Don't happen in a dark alley. It happens in the back hallway of this courthouse. I've been there, seen it done. I did do stuff about it. Why do you think I'm out here on the sidewalk? I'm doing stuff about it now. Hall House, Tennessee, convicted of murder in 1986. Later, DNA testing undermined key prosecution evidence and suggested important evidence may have been contaminated or misrepresented. His case reached the U.S. Supreme Court, which ruled he had presented sufficient evidence of actual innocence to pursue his claims. He was eventually released after years in prison. That's one they caught. How many are on death row that they didn't? They frame it as they uncover the wrong. No, they don't. No, they don't. That's not true. That's framing. A case showing how forensic evidence and the overall narrative presented at trial can be later challenged by new evidence. It's a wrongful conviction example through not a classic. Someone intentionally framed the case. So they hold up the signature cases that everybody else in jail is guilty. And if you go to jail, you're guilty. That's not true. Look at Richard Jules, 1996, at the Atlanta Olympics. A security guard who discovered the Olympic Park bomb. He discovered the wrong, protected people, but he was framed. He was initially held as a hero, soon became the FBI's primary suspect, and intense media coverage portrayed him as the likely bomber. So the media portrayed him as a likely bomber. He was never charged, and the real bomber was identified later. Media framing. It created a media firestorm. He was afraid to go out of his house. A powerful example of someone being publicly framed by suspicion and media narrative even without a conviction. Government misconduct example. Framing. The FBI's Control program during the 1950s and 1970s, and this is what they could do to me today. They are. This is right here, right now in 2026. 1950s and 1970s, though, the FBI conducted operations against political groups and activists. I have a political group and I'm an activist. I also have a news channel. I'm also in politics. Some operations included forged documents. They forged a lot of documents against me. The Sheriff's Department did. The Sheriff's Department held me into court in the heat of the campaign. Forged documents, forged civil litigation against me, false rumors perpetrated by the news media. You type my name in Google, all the trash that's out there, it's framing. They're framing me as an evil person. That's not true. They are. In efforts to discredit individuals and organizations. That's what they do. They frame dissent as evil to try to demoralize them. A documented historical example of government agencies attempting to shape public perception and damage reputations through deceptive tactics, through framing. But that was then, and that never happens again. They've straightened out their ways. Mankind has become sinless, and government doesn't do that anymore. They learned their damn lesson. And they think you believe that. That's how they frame it. That's not true. It happens every day to me across the United States of America and the state of Tennessee. They frame me when I'm telling you the truth about things. They're liars. They're framing me. It's wrong. Well, let's deconstruct their framing about me. I can prove it with documents and truth, and I have. Look at my videos. There's a documented historical example of government agencies attempting to shape public perception about me. When I was running for governor, following their rules, I ended up in a jail cell. Mr. Bill Lee was out getting votes. I couldn't. I was in jail, being talked bad about by the news, which wasn't true. Now the charges are dismissed. That election's over. Will they do it again? They threatened to do that the other day. It's framing. They're framing me wrongfully because I'm representing you. Framed politics. Fake charges or twisted process used to hurt, silence, or scare an opponent. Now they try to scare me as I look around for government snipers. This is dangerous work. Just running for governor if you're not on a party ticket for some people. If you're really speaking the truth and trying to change the perception, public perception to the truth, or trying to reinforce public perception because the public doesn't trust the government. So I'm not spreading a conspiracy. If I'm spreading a conspiracy, over 80% of the public believes what I'm saying. Over 80% of the public's involved in the conspiracy that I'm perpetrating. It's not a conspiracy, it's the truth. They're perpetrating a conspiracy against you, saying that they're honest when they're damn well not. So yeah, almost 300 people. Thank you all for showing up. So we're talking about how the government frames things. They frame elections. They frame lies against you and frame people that dare to stand up and tell you what they're doing. Dangerous work. Subscribe to the channel. Help me have eyes on this. So, Soviet-era show trials where officials decided guilt first, then staged a trial to make it look legitimate. That only happens in Russia, right? No, that happens in America. They're very good at that. They decide guilt, and the guilt is going against people in government power. The guilt is using your constitutional rights to speak out against the government. We have a right to speak out against the government because they affect our lives. They have power to execute us, put us in jail, take our freedoms, raise our taxes, influence the cost of food. Under our Constitution, that's not real. It's a dead piece of paper, substantially. I'm fighting to revive it. Under the Constitution, I've got a right to put out my beliefs about how the government's doing you. Even if you don't believe it, I got a right to speak it. That's all I'm trying to do. They won't let me do that because they know it's true. If it is so false, stop putting me in jail. Stop trying to hurt me. Stop putting out false rumors about me. Stop having false civil litigation against me. But it's not false, it's true. Martin Luther King Jr. The FBI conducted extensive surveillance of King and sent him an anonymous letter attempting to pressure and intimidate him into withdrawing from public office. There's a lot of intimidation going on against me. Trying to make me withdraw from public office to say people in government power are dirty. They seek to destroy the American people substantially. And we need to fight them peacefully at the ballot box. This is not something we can passively ignore. If you're a Christian, they're trying to stop you from putting out the gospel of Jesus Christ. If you think Christians shouldn't be involved in politics, politics is involved in Christianity trying to shut her down. As they used to say, shut her down, she's sucking mud. Yeah, they're trying to shut you down. They shut you down during COVID. And now they're making laws to shut down the spread of the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ, making laws to do just that. Now, I'm allowed to say that. If you don't believe me, when you get your hind end put in jail for passing out a gospel tract, then you remember what I tried to tell you ahead of time. And today, now is the time to fight that at the polls, because they're going to fight you violently. They don't play by rules. They make up the rules as they go along. Framing. Government power was used to undermine a political and civil rights leader rather than simply investigate crime. So that was then, and they never do that again. That's not what half the populace of Tennessee believes. That's not what half the populace of the United States of America believes. They do that all the damn time. They're doing it to me. And I'm fighting them back. Thank you very much. Pretty successfully. And I will keep on fighting. Almost 300 people. Thank y'all very much. Like, share, and comment. Let's get some eyes on what's going on to protect me. So, here's what's going on in Tennessee. Framing is choosing which facts to say, which to skip, so people think a certain way without you saying it right out. And sometimes they say it right out. Propaganda. Example is, protesters clashed with police versus police attack demonstrators. Same event, opposite blame. And they have the news media doing that. Channel 8 News, most disgusting in the city of Knoxville, doing that. Yeah, I'm doing it right back, but I'm telling the truth about these people. The line, picking an angle isn't automatically dishonest. I pick an angle. Is my angle clear? I'm against people in government power. I'm against your government, not by an overthrow through the proper procedures of voting. They're trying to overthrow me through illegitimate means. Framing is wrong when facts are hidden or invented to fit a story decided in advance. Now, they've done that to me for years. Made evidence that wasn't there. Read the newspaper articles about me. Read the newspaper articles about me and look at the bias that you can easily detect if you're looking for it. If you're looking for it, it's clear as a bell. And so they make up evidence to fit a crime, and they'll do that against you. I know, I've been in the back hallway where they do just that. What's going on right now? The Knoxville DA's office. Public servants going by. Those people are angels when you need help. Those people are angels when you need help. So, sure I haven't turned off the volume. So the Knoxville DA's office is worried about optics instead of convicting criminals. Worried about how things appear instead of worrying about catching real criminals. And she said just that, apparently, in legal court filings. In legal court filings, she said that very same thing, according to sworn oath statements by attorneys who would get sanctioned for lying to the court. Attorney Sharman Tissue Allen, you know, the one that Tennessee Highway Patrol supervisors say that she's allowed to run her county any way she wants, to overlook crimes by her, which they do. She is involved in optics and framing and how things look. That's what they're concerned about. They're not concerned about crime. Crime can happen, hello, all that it wants to happen. That's irrelevant. It's how it looks that crime, it looks like crime's not happening, and it builds her up to where she can get elected to high office. She's not worried about crime. She's worried that the perception of crime is not there. It doesn't matter if 100 people get killed if the public doesn't see that, perceive that, so she gets her seat in the Attorney General's office. Then that's what she's concerned about, optics. If you don't believe me, she said just that. The Knoxville DA optics case. And we'll cover that. So hang on. They're worried about framing. They're not worried about real issues that affect you. She was deciding the outcome first, then citing image instead of evidence. That if she didn't prosecute somebody, it would look bad, even if they weren't guilty. The public wanted them prosecuted. You know, the no trial hangings that they used to do. The playbook. First story wins. Whatever people will first sticks, even if it's wrong. So they try to get on the front of the information, to get out the information that's false, to lead the story so that people believe the false story. The first information, and they know they're quick to put out the information that they want you to hear. Early reports on the Iraq WMD claims, weapons of mass destruction claims, they put out early on in that prep to going to war, that claims became common known because they put it out first for years, that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. Even after it was proven false, people believe that. That's the information that they put out to get the public convinced that we need to go to war against Iraq. Now, whether or not we did or not is one thing. But to lie to get us there on false evidence that they knew that they had weapons of mass destruction was misleading the public. They put that out first and foremost readily. To frame, that's the playbook. Get the information out first. That's them doing it real live. Words do the work. Suspect versus victim. They call people a suspect that may be a victim. Refund versus secret payout. It's a refund, it's not a secret payout. An example, this is how they frame things. Your government, we're at war with our government. They frame things in their favor to keep themselves in power. It's a complete, total disaster for you. It works well for them. It's not even good for them, it's gluttonous. The $1.5 billion Tennessee franchise tax payout. It was called a refund instead of a settlement with no lawsuit ever filed. So they paid back these franchise tax, $1.5 billion to businesses, powerful businesses, because they said that these businesses could sue and they'd have to pay them out. Anyway, that was framing. Got a flat tire. They never filed a lawsuit. It wasn't a payout, but they framed it as a refund because they were concerned, they allege, about a lawsuit. No lawsuit had been filed. It wasn't a refund. It was giving these people money for nothing. Timing is framing. When something announced matters as much as what's announced. Example, Bush Chief of Staff said you don't introduce new products in August. So they didn't introduce the weapons of mass destruction going to war in August. Meaning the Iraq war case was timed for maximum public input. So they sold a war like you would sell a product at the right time. So timing matters. What's missing matters most. The real story is often what they don't tell you. Example, Bowed Health's own scoring rubric only outweighed what actual patient outcomes at 5%. That detail wasn't in the press release, and we'll talk about that. Emotion beats facts. Fear and anger move people faster than evidence. They got a dead body, boy, they'll blame it on somebody. Somebody's got to pay, and they use that a lot. People die all the time. People die of natural causes, but they got to have a suspect and a victim, don't they? The death penalty. They got to charge somebody. And let's look at optics. As I mentioned, DA Sharman Tissue Allen. Imagine that, a person in the news and a person running for public office that will speak out against people in the government that have power over them, could put them in jail wrongfully. Now, I'm not going to double dog dare them, because they will. They have a vast military apparatus and paid for judges that they can convict me for giving out food to little children. They're wicked, corrupt people in public power. They're not honest. But for the public safety, I'm speaking the truth about these people. Sharman Tissue Allen, Knoxville DA case, if the allegation is accurate, I think it is. It feels true to me. Right to work has been repeated so long, people assume it guarantees a job. It doesn't. A badge doesn't mean it's true. Check it yourself. A Tennessee judge federally charged with bribe witness tampering. A badge in the road didn't make him honest. Even courts admit it happens, but only catch the obvious cases. DNA exonerations show misconduct in roughly half of proven wrongful convictions. And those are just the ones science caught. So half of people convicted that are exonerated were convicted based on DNA evidence. Excuse me, half the DNA exonerations where science shows people were innocent. Half of those cases were wrongful convictions. So they know what's going on. Remember the dark alley I told you about at the top of the show? Here's what happened in one of them. DA's office, a courthouse hallway, one word, optics. And a man's life got decided by how it would look, not what happened. Here's the story. The court and the DA right here in Knoxville County. The former Knoxville officer, John Pickens, sued the city over his 2025 termination tied to a 2022 domestic assault charge resolved through judicial diversion and expunged. So Mr. John Pickens was charged by the illustrious Knox County Sheriff's Department. They got an officer, they're doing their job. They got crimes going on allegedly within the department. They got this officer, John Pickens, drug him in for domestic assault. I think that he was arrested on the job, so they're showing you they're arresting bad police over a domestic incident, domestic assault. The charges were resolved through judicial diversion and the records expunged, so he no longer has a record. He in fact still has his police officer certification. He can still be a police officer somewhere else. Now the news media will brand him as a tumbleweed police officer wanting to go to different departments because he's involved in criminal conduct, although he has no criminal conviction on record. And here's what happened. He's charged with domestic assault in 2022. Based on weak evidence, no independent witness, and the alleged victim didn't want him prosecuted or fired. But Sharman Tissue Allen was concerned about perception, that it was a police officer accused of domestic violence, although she had weak evidence, not a willing prosecution, and a improper investigation that didn't talk to all witnesses. And Sharman was asked why she didn't drop the weak case. And she allegedly told one of the lawyers, which they filed a lawsuit swearing under oath, that she used one word why she wouldn't drop the case. She did not say Wow. I wonder what he's blowing his horn for. There you go. I got some fans out here. Okay. So she didn't dismiss the case because not enough evidence, weak evidence. You got to prove something by preponderance of the evidence, and guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, not preponderance of evidence, guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. She didn't dismiss the case because she had the evidence as weak evidence. She dismissed the case because of optics, because it looked bad to have a Knoxville police officer arrested by the sheriff's department, accusing him of a crime of domestic violence, and it didn't look good to her voters to dismiss the charge, not pursue it. She didn't say weak evidence, we can't prove the case. She pursued it, her own words, because of how it looked, because of optics. It wouldn't look good to dismiss a case against a police officer. That's going to make people think that I favor police officers. And I'm not going to let people think that, although she does. But in this case, he was already arrested, already defamed in the public by the sheriff's department. So she's going to hang out an innocent person, and he says that he did not do that, and gives his story, and his wife evidently at the time didn't want him prosecuted. So she's prosecuting somebody on admitted optics, not on evidence or facts, on how it looks to the public so she can stay in power. That's what they're involved in, framing. That's framing. She wants to frame her office as legitimate, law-abiding, prosecuting people regardless of status. But in this case, we're going to help these people here. So yeah, okay. We'll take a second to help these people, get them out of the road. You didn't think I'd help, did you?
Well, I knew you would. I see you there every day.
Yeah, do you? I got about 300 people in here. I got a pretty good shot.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
I'm the guy on the black bike that goes by every day.
Oh, you okay?
Okay, she's
the one that
now.
about runs over me? Okay. Thank you. There you go. So we stopped to help somebody. We'll do that. And so we're talking about government corruption. We stopped to help somebody. Pardon that, but getting a car out of the road. So, about Charmin Tissue Allen, is what I call it. And she's prosecuting somebody based on optics. Imagine that. She's your district attorney here now. She has a hell of a lot of power. She has a hell of a lot of power. And she's not prosecuting somebody based on the law and the facts. She's prosecuting somebody based on optics, how it looks to the public. Not based on the law or the facts. The burden of proof, she doesn't have it. The burden of proof is beyond a reasonable doubt. She doesn't have that. It's weak evidence. not a willing person to prosecute, that was allegedly assaulted in a domestic case. She's pursuing a case against a police officer based on optics, that she wants the appearance that she's fair will prosecute a police officer. When the case is not there, it's not. So, if you live in Knox County, I don't know your county, and I've met Sharma Tissue Allen. I know how she is behind the scenes. I know her public persona, her optics is, I'm fair, I'll prosecute police officers. I don't let them off the hook. That's her public persona. She'll cuss you. She told me one time when I was wanting to prosecute a real criminal that was endangering society, and she was trying to dismiss the case. This is in their little dark alley, their hallways behind the courtroom that nobody sees. The real crime takes place. Sharma Tissue Allen, and part of that administration was the judge that the new sheriff is recommended to get elected. So let's see if we went off here. We'll get straightened out here. The wind blew. So here we are. Went off for just a second. We're back on. The judge is worried about optics. They're not worried about the truth, about the facts and law. They're worried about how it looks. That's all about how it looks about optics. She said that literally herself in a lawsuit alleged by the former officer that she's trying to convict illegitimately. So he's filed a lawsuit against her, and he's suing him over the optics. So he said in his lawsuit that when his lawyer asked while they were pursuing this case, that was a weak case that he says wasn't true, he didn't assault his wife or girlfriend. Sharma Tissue Allen in that back hallway said optics, she's worried about how it looks. I was trying to convict someone that was a danger to the public. She was going to dismiss it. She's not fair. I don't know what reason. She was trying to dismiss it without even me testifying against a person that was a serious danger to you. I mean, I got people that were seriously dangerous to you. When I was in public service, the fatality rate was low because I got people in front of the judges that were a danger to you. So she said to me in that back hallway, not an alley, not where you're afraid of, in that back hallway at the city county building, she said to me, when I wanted to testify, not just let her dismiss the case, she said that her attorney entourage would tear me a new asshole. Now that's how she really talks. Me trying to get someone off the road that was a serious danger to you, she's protecting them from prosecution and insulting me, cussing me for trying to have somebody guilty of a crime. Told me they'd tear me a new asshole. That's how she talks. And she drives up and down the interstate at a high rate of speed. You see people speeding and you will say, man, they're going to get caught by police. They're going to get caught. No, they're not. They are the police. They're in the government. They know they can get by with it. When they get pulled over, you see a car getting pulled over that just passed you at a high rate of speed. People know they can't speed. Cops will stop them, give them a ticket. And you think, well, they'll get caught. They gave me a ticket last week. Yeah, they did. They gave you a ticket last week. You learned your lesson. Slow down. If you'll watch, you see the same people flying past you on the interstate. And these are people that work right up here at the city county building. The prosecutors, attorneys, their little entourage, they fly up down the interstate. They get pulled over, and when they find out it's the DA, then they, oh, okay, let's make this look good. And they get by and they're flying down the interstate again. They don't have to pay full price. It's their county. They can do what they want. That's what the THP administration told them. And they prohibit prosecutions of some people and prosecute other people just because of optics. And that's exactly what that policeman said, and he's trying to get his job back. So, former officer John Pickens, he's trying to get his job back. I hope that he does. Kudos to him. They're hanging out officers saying we fire bad officers. Maybe that wasn't a bad officer. Maybe Sharman Tissue Allen set him up because of optics, how it looks. They framed. The victim didn't want him prosecuted or fires his lawsuit, claims his attorney asked DA Sharman Tissue Allen, who cussed me one time, while she didn't drop the weak case. You know, you got to prove a case by guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. It was a weak case. And she allegedly said one word, optics. Framing how it looked to the public. They're framing how it looks for them so they can stay in power. Guilt by optics, not by law. And I know these people. I know the other side. I know how they work. I'm an eyewitness to their public corruption. They used to call me up to their offices while I was cleaning up the roads, keeping you safe, and say all kinds of horrific, evil things to me. Well, that was tough. I just answered them back. What you're supposed to do is dismiss the cases, and I didn't do it. Willingly. They did anyway. Tennessee Court of Appeals overturned an aggravated sexual battery conviction, State versus Robinson, after a prosecutor repeatedly highlighted defendant's silence, vouched for witnesses personally, and told the jury a conviction would send a message with no physical evidence. That's what a prosecutor did. So, the prosecutor repeatedly highlighted that the defendant didn't testify in this case, that he was being prosecuted by the prosecutor. The prosecutor highlighted that the defendant exercised his Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate himself, to remain silent. That doesn't mean you're guilty. It means you're exercising a right not to testify. You have that right under the Constitution. It does not mean you're guilty because you choose to remain silent. In most cases, you're better off remaining silent because prosecutors know how to make things, anything you say, turn it around and make it appear like you're guilty of the crime. They're skilled in deception. So sometimes it's better to not let them have that chance. Just don't testify. So this man exercised his right to remain silent under the Fifth Amendment Constitutional right. The attorney pointed out that he's guilty because he's not testifying. No, he's not. That doesn't have anything to do with his guilt or innocence. He's exercising constitutional rights. So your constitutional rights mean you're guilty. That's how they do things. And he didn't have physical evidence. He vouched for the other witness that testified and said that the defendant that was exercising his right wasn't guilty because he exercised his right, was guilty because he's exercising his right. Imagine that. Constitution's worthless. Framing it as he's guilty because he's exercising a constitutional right. The same thing they did to me in a civil case. The very damn same thing they did to me in a civil case. Attorney General Randy Good-for-Nothing Nichols sat right down here at this courthouse. It happens all over the state of Tennessee. These crooks in power, they frame things. He literally said in depositions and in a letter to the governor's office, he literally said, because I exercised constitutional rights in the incident involving a deadly pursuit, because after I'd done all I could do, he literally said in a letter, because I exercised a constitutional right to contact an attorney after the fire department ambulance was on the scene. I did everything I could, that I sought legal counsel because of the magnitude of somebody dead. Police officers know all across the state, it happens all the time. You call an attorney to speak for you, to help you, so that you don't get wrongly incriminated by somebody like Sharman Tissue Allen that's worried about optics. And the Attorney General, Randy Good-for-Nothing Nichols, said it is telling that I immediately called an attorney because they got me on the videotape asking for a Police Benevolence Association attorney. They didn't tell you the timing. That was after I did everything I could do. Obviously, that's par for the course. That's what you do. It's a constitutional right. But he used that right against me in my case. Just the other day, police officers with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department shot and killed somebody. They haven't said one word about it. Their attorney spoke for them. They've contacted attorneys. Nobody's saying they're guilty of anything. So they're using a constitutional right, framing me talking to legal counsel as something I'm doing wrong. That has nothing to do with it. That's what I should have done. So even if you do what they should have done, they frame it as if you're doing something wrong. They hold all the cards on their little game board. That's crooked as hell. The Attorney General's office in Knox County is crooked as hell. They own every judge. They'll get whatever damn ruling they want. They go on optics so they can stay in power. Well, let's change the optics and tell you the truth about these dirtbags. They're crooked as hell. You could end up in jail. So, Allen said because of a weak case, Tennessee Court of Appeals overturned an aggravated assault battery conviction based on the attorney using the person exercising his constitutional rights against them. That's the signature case. We covered all that. We got all that. That won't happen again. Yeah, it will. It happened to me. They frame it as you have the constitutional rights in the state of Tennessee. That's what they tell you. The real framing, I frame it the truth. Exercise your rights, get convicted for it. And that's not the only case they do that in. The DNA exoneration studies found prosecutor misconduct played a role in nearly half of wrongful convictions later proven false by DNA. So where you have factual evidence later found that the person is not guilty by science, half of these cases where the people got convicted were because of prosecutorial misconduct. So it's par for the course. It's not a one-time thing that's an outlier that they catch. It happens all the damn time, every day in a Tennessee courtroom, and in this courtroom right here. We are at war with our government. We're doing it politically, they're doing it violently. It's pretty damn violent to wake you up at 6 o'clock in the morning, kick your door in, run in your house, and drag you off to jail for a crime you didn't commit based on weak evidence or no evidence, or because you speak out against the government. And in some cases people get killed. It shocks them and they pull a gun. That's pretty damn violent. It's a violent government. And I'm not promoting violence. I'm promoting voting these people out. Sharma Tissue Allen should nowhere be anywhere near a courtroom except as a defendant sitting on the front row waiting incarceration for her crimes against humanity. She's a danger to the public. The prosecutor's office in Knox County is a danger to the public. They frame it so they don't look like it. Let me reframe it. A bunch of criminals and thugs in this courthouse all across state Tennessee. The story, a national example in the Charlie Kirk case. Now, whether you agree or whether you don't, the concept is still the same. A judge found a prosecutor in civil contempt for violating a gag order by talking about the strength of evidence publicly, but ruled that striking the death penalty as punishment would be grossly disproportionate. The death penalty for that man almost got overturned because a prosecutor violated a judge's order, because it's well-known public importance. People get patted on the back for speaking out about that have the inside know, maybe get money for it. So he spoke out about it publicly and bragged about the strength of the case when it's not as strong a case against that particular defendant as they say it is. Now, whether you believe it is or not, that's irrelevant. That a prosecutor violated an order by the judge not to talk about the case and bragged about the strength of the case when it's not there yet. Whether you believe he's guilty or not, look what the prosecutor did. almost got a death penalty off the table for somebody that killed Charlie Kirk. That's at a national level. It's the principle and the things that could happen because of what they're doing, rogue prosecutors. So what you have here, I'll rename it caught red-handed, left off with a warning. The dark alley isn't just the courthouse. It's in a health department office deciding to lower a grading scale. It's in a county building reclassifying gas turbines on paper. It's in a legislative session room deciding how to name a bill before anyone's read what's inside it. Same hallway, alley functions as a dark alley where crimes take place, but it's different. It's in a building. Worse crimes take place inside the government than that dark alley on Market Square where somebody got raped. By the government, people in power. That's what they don't want me saying. That's what they don't want me saying. So I need your help. I need you to subscribe to the channel to put a lot of eyes on this so you'll know why they arrest me if I do, because I'm talking about their false arrest against you. I'm talking about their backroom deals. All the way to the governor's mansion. It happens. They frame things that the government is out to serve you when they're serving their damn self, framing things that they are. It's called propaganda. Policy examples. Here's some clear-cut policy examples. In 2018, Tennessee and Virginia waived federal antitrust law to let the only two hospital systems in Tri-Cities region merge into one company, Ballot Health. So the government let a healthcare company violate antitrust merger laws and made one healthcare company, 20 hospitals merged, the only option for about 1 million people, affected 1.1 million people across 29 counties. Tennessee let them do that. Now that cuts down on competition. If it's all one hospital under one name, you can't just go to another hospital, same business, same company, same care, same treatment. Whereas if it's different hospitals, they compete against each other. You go to one hospital, they don't provide the right care. You go in another facility under a different company that's in competition with that company. That's what drives better service, competition. That's the American way. But not in your healthcare. It doesn't. In your healthcare, they combined and eliminated competition, 20 hospitals. The only option for 1.1 million people, 1.1 million people vote for me. We'll make competition in healthcare for you. Or join this movement. The state has to certify the merger benefits the public more than competition would. So the state said that the merger benefits the public more than competition. That's what they did to you. But it's not their hospitals. So the Federal Trade Commission opposed it. Going in, once approved, Tennessee's own health department found that Ballard missed more than 74% of its quality benchmarks over 4 years. So only 24% of the quality benchmarks did it meet. Wow, that's pretty low. Less than a quarter of quality was there. Whereas if there had been competition, there might have been just a little more. But the state mandated for you, no, closed them, put them together. 74% of its quality benchmarks over 4 years. Infections, death, satisfaction, ER waits near 11 hours. Ballot has also fell short of its charity care promise. They promised if you combine us, we'll give money to charity. But for 5 years running, they were short what they promised, about $194 million. What does the state do? Make them pay it? No. They waive that. They waive it. So they didn't have to give what they promised. The requirement every year instead of enforcing it. When this became public, the state lowered the passing score itself. from 85 down to 70. So when they didn't meet standards, they failed. They lowered the passing score down to 70, a D range grade. So the same failing performance could now be called a clear and convincing public advantage. They framed it, clear and convincing public advantage. But the facts say they inhibited competition, quality, and care, and increased the death rate, disease, and the hospital was horrific, a D. And they framed it clear and convincing evidence of a public advantage. It's framing. When what it was is certified by state, trumps competence decided by you. They frame stuff in their favor. Approved by state who don't use the hospital, and you have no choice. And that's how I frame it to the truth. The 2024 franchise tax refunded roughly $1.5 billion paid out to businesses just after a threat to sue. So these rich franchises threatened to sue the state of Tennessee. A threat, not a real suit. No lawsuit ever filed or ruled on. Names were posted for only 30 days and pulled down. So they gave these companies $1.5 billion because they threatened to sue. They told you for 30 days who these companies received $1.5 billion. Had they went ahead and had to sue, which they didn't, they just threatened it, then you would have read all the facts about why they were suing, why they were entitled to $1.5 billion. So the state trumped all that and just gave them the money under just a threat. You see how that's rigged? They wanted to give these people money, and they gave it to them. They gave it to them. They framed it. As they threatened to sue, we had to pay them. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. The vanishing receipt, and they didn't even leave who they paid up but for 30 days. You had litigation, it's all in there, spelled out specifically what the hell's going on, but they didn't want you to know what the hell's going on. They just paid them your money and told you who they paid $1.5 billion for 30 days. I hope somebody screenshotted that. XAI's Memphis Data Center runs dozens of gas-powered generators next to a residential neighborhood with no pollution permits. All these rich data centers. A lot of going on about data centers. The county classified these as non-road engines. So they had gas engines that make power for the data centers by roads that are putting out emissions, toxic emissions, just like a car, more. And they just classified them as non-road engines to dodge rules. So they rename to meet a code, not to meet clean air standards. They have none. The story, Tennessee TennCare block grant. Normally Medicaid pays the state back a percentage of what it actually spends on health care. So funding rises with cost for enrollment. So the state of Tennessee gets money from Medicaid based on how much medical care that it provides. If it has more, they keep getting more money from the federal government. A system designed to meet demand for something you can't do without, life-saving medical care. But a block grant instead caps the state at one fixed lump sum no matter what happens. So Tennessee wanted a block grant to keep themselves from paying a lot of money, creating pressure to cut people off to stay under budget. So a block grant instead caps the state at one fixed lump sum no matter what happens, creating pressure to cut people off a state under a state budget. So Tennessee wanted a block grant so that they can cut people off of Medicare. Governor Bill Lee announced in 2021, Tennessee got the first ever medical aid block grant. The federal government's own approval letter said in writing, this is not a block grant. Tennessee kept calling it one anyway. The cap was removed entirely in 2023. So they called it a block grant because they alleged that they were good with money, so they only needed a certain amount and everything was fine. And all that did was the government only paid them a block amount of money. They got no more, no matter what the cost was. And in effect, Tennessee was supposed to make up the difference. But instead of making up the difference, they started cutting people off of health care to limit the number of health care costs all across the state of Tennessee, both for the federal government and for the state government. But they didn't do it with their health care, did they? So they framed it as a block grant because of being able to manage money when they cut people off health care. Capping care to protect the budget is what they did. The story, the White House Iraq group was set up specifically to market the Iraq invasion to the public. So we're talking about framing, about setting things up to make it look like how they want to. Remember Iraq? They set up a specific group to market a war. To market the Iraq invasion to the public. They were selling the war. Bush's own chief of staff said, you don't introduce new products in August. So the war was a product. And they've admitted that some of the stuff they sold it on was a lie, and they knew it. New product launched. It's called war. So they launched war as a product. Now, I'm not saying the Iran war, and it's not been classified as a war, is wrong. I believe that it is. They've got real capability to make nuclear weapons. But they do sell war as a product. It's framing. They frame it. I think we've got the most honest president that we've ever had right now, which is why they would like to get rid of him. This story, enhanced interrogation techniques. The CIA's own program architect testified the softer name picked on purpose over a more accurate one. Enhanced interrogation was really torture with a marketing department. The story, right to work laws, they market that. They don't guarantee a job to anyone, they just limit union power. I'd rename it right to work for less. The story, the Clear Skies Act would allow more pollution than simply enforcing the existing Clean Air Act. Renamed the Dirtier Air, cleaner name. So, and here's the part that should make you angry. You're paying for the light bulb in that dark hallway. Every dollar in $3,000 mailer fund, every dollar in a franchise tax refund, that's your money funding the exact room you're not allowed to walk in. So your money is paying for their propaganda against you. Like, share, and comment. Thanks for the contribution. You're paying for their propaganda. You're paying for their framing. They don't even pay for it themselves. You pay for it. It gets worse. Taxpayer money and your voice. The story, every Tennessee legislator gets $3,000 in tax money specifically to mail constituents updates about themselves. So they're allowed to mail you framing, bragging on themselves, paid for by you. It's a political campaign by you. Brag money paid by you. In April 2026, and here's some of the money that you pay for them mailing, that you pay them money to send out information that's a lie. In April 2026, the Hamilton County Republican Party sent a mailer telling voters they must be a bona fide member to vote in a party's primary, warning in bold lettering that you paid for this message. Fraudulent voting is a crime. Now that's what they told you. In a propaganda framing that you paid for. They didn't even pay for it. The mailer landed on a real Tennessee law from 1972 regarding crossover voting. But Tennessee doesn't register voters by party at all. It has open primaries. Any voter can choose either party primary on ballot day and simply gets a statement under penalty of perjury that they're a member of the party whose primary they're voting in. There's no legislation checklist against it. Bona fide member isn't something the state actually tracks. And if you decide to go in there and vote in the Republican primary and you're a Democrat, you are at that time certifying that you are taking part, a member of that party at that time you vote. So you're agreeing at that time. So you're signing that you are when in fact you are, because you're voting and participating in the Republican primary as a Democrat. So there's nothing illegal about that. It's at that time in that place you are Republican for that time in that vote, which is nothing wrong with that. It's not illegal. The context matters. For the first time in decades, Democrat turnout edged out Republican turnout in the county's May primary. So they're worried about Democrats voting in Republican primaries. And you can do that. That's not unlawful. As long as you sign that paper and you're participating and agree to be a bona fide member of that party at the time you vote. That don't mean you are after you walk out. That's all the law requires. That you're saying that you are then at that time. And if you're going to vote for a Republican in the primary, you are. You're voting, and you can vote. So there's no law violation. The context matters. So when they found out that Democrats voted in the Republican primary, which they can, they signed the paper, they were a bona fide member in that election at that time in that place at the voting booth. There's no other way to charge it or organize it. When you sign your name, you're agreeing that you are at that time, and then you can vote. If you don't sign that paper, then maybe you're violating the law, but you have to. Democrat turnout edged Republican turnout. So what they did was they said, we don't want Democratic-leaning people voting in our Republican primaries, so we'll threaten them with a law that doesn't apply in this particular circumstance. So they had you pay for a mailer to frighten voters. Framing. They had about 180 more Democratic ballots than Republican, a reversal of a 20-year trend. Party Chair Gail Green said the mailer wasn't about turnout, just clarifying the law. So they mailed a political flyer scaring people not to vote, that it was against the law to vote. That's not true. The Republicans in her own party pushed back, worried it would scare eligible voters away from the polls. That's exactly what they're trying to do. The chair called it legal. I'll rename it Fear the Crime That Isn't One. Vote suppression dressed up as a warning. If you are a Democrat right now, you can vote in the Republican primary. No law that says you can't. All you have to do is go into the Republican primary and write down for that day and place you're a bona fide member of the Republican primary. There's no criteria for what it means for you to be a bona fide member. That's not spelled out in the law. So when you go sign that paper, you're admitting that you're a bona fide member. That's all it takes for the vote at that time. So there's nothing they can do about that. And in a lot of races that is Republican dominated, it's a red state, if you're a Democrat, you can't vote for the candidate that's going to run your county, because like here in Knox County, the sheriff's race is a one and done primary thing, because in the sheriff's race there's no November election, because there's no Democratic candidate for the sheriff. So if in fact, as that flyer said, you can't vote for your representative because there's no Democrat on the ballot in November. So if you didn't vote in the Republican primary, it's already been decided, you don't get a say. You don't get a say in who elects your representative. And they're telling you that because they're branding you a Democrat, that you don't get to vote. That's not true. That's absolutely not true. So, someone is trying to take over my channel here. So yeah, somebody trying to take over my channel. Imagine that, more ways than one. So if you are a Democrat, you don't get to choose who's your sheriff, really. Somebody can bust in your house, killed somebody about a mile down the road from where I live. You don't get to say in who decides that gets to take place. And you pay for the propaganda that is voter suppression. Voter suppression. You paid for that. They didn't even have to pay for it. That's propaganda. Fear the crime. Hello. That isn't one. Vote suppress, dress up as a warning. And you paid for that propaganda. You paid for the framing. They don't even pay for it. The former House Speaker Glenn Costa and former Representative Robin Smith secretly ran a fake vendor program called Phoenix Solutions, pretending it was run by a fictional person, Matthew Phoenix, to funnel the same taxpayer mail-in money into kickbacks. So he was getting money from taxpayers that mails out these flyers. So the whole system was rigged as hell. He was sentenced and convicted. The ghost and cashed the checks. So Glenn Costa was getting part of that $3,000 that mails out false propaganda, fear mongering to citizens, and he was even stealing part of the money. Their own party. So what do they do when people like me start asking to walk down that hallway with them, find out what the hell's going on? I'm telling you what the hell's going on. They don't let you in the hallway. They don't let you in the dark hallway behind the judge's chambers that the real deals go on, not in open court, or at the governor's mansion, or at the legislative sessions in the hallways before the legislation's ever written. That's where the crimes take place. They just make it illegal to knock on the door. That's the flyer law. While they are making it appear illegal to go vote by threatening you with a criminal conviction that doesn't exist if you are a bona fide member of the party at the time you vote, which you're signing that you are, and they have no legal definition of that. My definition would be if you sign that paper and say that you are for the vote, and after you go home, you can be a Republican again. But you have a right to say who your elected officials are. If you only vote Democrat, there's no one Democrat running, so you're not allowed to decide what Republican wins. You might want to vote for what you think is the best of the worst. Imagine that. They're trying to scare you with money that is put in a fund of your tax dollars that you pay for that leaflet to send out. That's a lie. Politics, fear-mongering. At the same time, people like me who are putting out truth against their dirty lies, the government propaganda, that's mailing out mass flyers that lie with your tax money by the truckloads. At the same time, I get this, they're making it almost deadly and illegal to pass out information against them that I pay for to disseminate the truth. To tell you they're passing out lies, trying to tell you not to vote. I'm telling you to vote because of the new trespassing law, where it can be deadly for me to pass out information against them. make it more easily to kill somebody on their property, alleging that they're trespassing. And also, they just made it illegal for me to pass out flyers. It's perfectly legal, paid for by you, to pass out their false information, disseminating fear. It is illegal for me to dispel that information on the same private property that they mailed it to by legally walking on people's property and passing out flyers that dispel their lies. I can't pass out the truth. That's what they're doing to you in the state of Tennessee. They're framing something and they don't want the other side of the story. What are they afraid of? They're afraid of you, the mass populace of Tennesseans, and they are afraid of me. Thank you very much. They're afraid of you. So we messed up our camera just a little bit here. So they're afraid of you and extremely afraid of me. So we're going to go on and tell you some more stuff that these criminals are doing. They're putting out mass information, mass lies, disseminating lies, scaring the public into not voting that you're paying for, and stopping me from passing out information that I pay for. So what they do with people like me, they make it illegal. And they frame it as the Peace Act, the new trespassing law. So they're framing, this is the Peace Act, protecting property. No, it's not, it's protecting dissemination of information against them that I pay for. The Peace Act is what they call it. That's what they frame it. It's a Peace Act. It's not a Peace Act. It's a stop the dissemination of truthful information about us to the public. It makes it leaving an unsolicited flyer a criminal offense. Now, their flyer they send you in the mail, that's unsolicited. And it's a lie. That's one example of one of the lies. That's just one example telling you not to vote, fear-mongering with what you pay for. So they're using your money to fear-monger. I'm using my money to try to dispel their fears. Go vote. They're saying, no, don't go vote. Could be a criminal offense. And you're paying for that dissemination of that information. At the same time, information that I pay for, that I want to disseminate, they made a Peace Act, is what they call it. It's an act to prevent me from telling people the truth, from walking on people's property, as I legally can do without a no trespassing sign or a locked gate and fence. There's ways to keep people off your property. The government is acting like they're keeping people off your property, helping you with trespassers. No, they're preventing you from getting information against them, called the Peace Act. It's the act that prevents dissemination of political flyers against us. Is exactly what it is. The Peace Act makes leaving an unsolicited flyer a criminal offense. Up to 1 year in jail if I put on your front porch that what they got in your mailbox is fear-mongering. It's a lie. I can't leave that. But they can leave fear-mongering and telling you not to vote because of their framing. So that's what they're doing to you right here in Tennessee. Wow, almost 400 people, over 300. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. So they passed a law, the Peace Act. Notice the framing. The Peace Act. Imagine that. It's peace. Peace Act. Yeah, it's not a peace thing. It's a Maintain Our Government Power Lies Act. Criminalizing the speech they don't want to hear act is exactly what it is. It's not about trespassing. It's about if you walk on somebody's property that they want information, then you can't give it to them because you're afraid of their neighbor who's just been given free reign to shoot you and accuse you of trespassing. When all he had to do is tell you to get off his property and you would have. And then they make a law that you can't even leave leaflets. You can't go on the property, they can kill you. You can't leave a leaflet. It's illegal littering, and they call it the Peace Act, and the other one, the trespassing law. It's not, it's the free shoot to kill the sinners, and the criminalizing the speech they don't want to hear act. It's framing. Let me leave my flyer on people's front porch. If they don't want it, they can wad it up or tell me they don't want it, or leave a no trespassing sign, or have a locked gate. It's not difficult. You don't have to shoot me dead or prevent me from leaving the truth, dispelling the fears that the government is, you're paying for the government to send you in your mailbox. So they can leave speech, fear-mongering, political ads, and I'm not allowed, or it's criminal, to contest our government. We're in a political war against our government, a real fight. If I were you, for your own good, I'd join it. I'm putting myself at risk telling you this stuff. The story, their taxpayers funded mailers are legal. My self-funded flyer on a porch is a crime. The truth is a crime. Their junk mail is law. Your flyer is a crime. Mine or any political message that you want to put out is a crime. No one's been charged under the Peace Act because it's not constitutional, I don't think. As far as public records show, the law just sits there waiting for somebody to kill you or somebody to charge you with littering and put you in jail, which they threatened the other day. So they call it the Peace Act. It's a loaded gun nobody's fired yet. In April 2026, the Tennessee House bill passed 1802, SB 1407, expanding self-defense law to let homeowners use deadly force to protect property, not just life, against theft, arson, or trespassing when they believe no other option is available. So a representative warned it teaches people they can kill people over property, a threshold previously reserved protecting a human life. So your doorstep just got more dangerous for people trying to give you truthful information against the government while they mail it to you paid by you. You don't even have to pay for the information I put out. You can voluntarily pay. Two things in life you have to do: pay taxes for their free mailers and die. Pay taxes for their lies. It's a stop free speech law. It's stop the truth, disseminate information about us. So this is what they do for us. Here's how we're going to sell it to you. That's good for you. The hospital monopoly became a public advantage. 1.5 billion paid out became a refund. Unpermitted turbines become non-road engines, protecting property over lives because standing your ground. Banning flyers becomes anti-littering. Automatic tax hikes become safety and improvement. The sales pitch they never admit they're making, but they are. They sure as hell are. This story, 2017 Improve Act. They call it the Improve Act. Governor Bill Haslam called an act. Framed it Improve Act. Now let's see if it was. I don't think so. Governor Bill Haslam called it the Improve Act, framing it. It's Improve Act. It was a tax. Raised gas taxes for the first time since 1989. Imagine that. A tax on the public as if they don't have enough money is an Improve Act. That's how they frame it. It's framing. It's not the truth. There's a gas tax on you. Haslam's office called it the largest tax cut in state history. It's almost funny. He's going to raise your taxes, and he's framing it as the largest tax cut in state history. He raised your taxes and lied about it. The largest tax cut in state history, and leaned on the word safety to sell automatic future increases. They frame stuff. They lie to you. Tax cut that cost you more at the pump. How you doing?
What do you mean?
Pardon?
What do you mean?
I'm doing a show for the public talking about how dirty the government is. Yeah, there's about 300 people on here. You want to say anything to them?
No. I'll let that bullet say that.
God bless you, I pray. So, the gas tax, they sold that as a tax cut. The gas tax increase was sold by Bill Haslam as a tax cut. That's how they frame it. It's not the truth, it's framing, how they want you to see it. It was a tax increase. He then ended his taxes, so he raised your tax saying it was a tax cut. Largest tax cut in history. The largest tax cut was to his. He ended his inheritance tax. The rich don't pay their fair share exemptions, what it should be. And you got your gas tax increased. That's a big issue now. Gas prices are skyrocketing because the Governor Bill has been raised taxes. So we got almost 400 people in here. Like, share, comment. We're putting out information, reframing what they're trying to sell you's a lie that you pay for. You pay for these lies. Do you like them? Scaring you out of voting, raising your taxes, saying it's a tax cut. It's almost funny. The joke's on all of us if you believe it. It's real funny, ain't it? You pay more for the cost of living. That's a tax cut, largest one in history. They end their own taxes because inheritance tax is only paid for by the super rich. And it is a fair tax to pay back what they've exploited out of people. It's not socialism. It is actually the exact opposite of socialism. It is paying people that work and should get a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. It is paying people for the risk that they take actually moving society. It's dangerous. They sit at the top of these organizations in safety and reap billions, and they give themselves a tax break. They're not carrying society, you are. They're taxing society and untaxing themselves. It's going on right now. Look at the commercial every other minute on television. The Republicans fighting it out amongst themselves, both lying. We're going to talk about that. Jimmy Haslam's pilot Flying J promised truckers fuel rebates, then quietly paid less. A real internal fraud scheme, $92 million federal penalty. Executives sent to prison but never went. The discount that never showed up is what it was. That's how I'll frame it. The story right now in the news. You've seen the commercials. You live in Tennessee. Get on cable, you'll see it. Rose and Blackburn are each releasing their own internal polls with opposite conclusions about the same primary race. So which one's correct? Correct. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, I fixed my sound. Can you hear me now? No sound. Wow. Yep, you can hear me now. Okay. Did y'all hear the article I read about chin up? Somebody tell me if you heard that article about chin up. We hear you. Okay. If you didn't hear me, the article I read, I'll go over it again. Chin up. No, not at all. Didn't hear. No, sir. Okay. We'll go over that article again. No, everything's quiet until now. Okay, we'll go over the article again about an article I read about chin up. It's a positive article about all the stuff I've read. It shows that it's called Chin Up. It's written by Romus Walter, and the title is Chin Up. And it says, scientific research has shown that people who have a positive outlook recover faster from surgery and suffer less pain when they're ill. And this is true for us, for people in a movement, or for you in your personal life, to have a positive outlook. So, and that involves these issues. Thinking positively enables us to find creative solutions to challenges that are so thorny they stop other people in their tracks. You can learn to achieve success by always considering new ways to accomplish both your business and personal goals. I'm going to give you some hints here about how you can achieve success, because I've talked about a lot of stuff negative. So, I'm going to have to get another phone. Your positive outlook will inspire people to listen to you, to purchase your products and use your services, and to vote. In turn, they will refer you to others who will contribute to your business endeavors and your personal endeavors. Try these tips to be successful. It's called Chin Up. Very good article. And it talks about these steps. Remember these steps. Any veterans here? Okay, yeah, veterans, you're welcome. The first one is know that you are successful. And if you're on the planet now alive, you're successful because God intended you to be here. The odds of you being here are astronomically, mathematically almost impossible, but you're here, so you are successful. Refuse to believe that there's any circumstance strong enough to deter you from reaching your goals, and there's not. Come on, bum runner. Okay. That's what the comment said. I don't understand what they're saying. You need not rely on testing or public opinion to trust that your ideal has merit and will be successful. So if y'all heard this before, let me know. While these actions may lend your ideals viability, they do not control the destiny of your dream. You do. So the first thing about being successful is know that you are successful just by being on the planet. God intended you here. And you don't have to rely on research, studies, what other people say. They may lead viability, but they don't control your destiny, your dream. You control your dream. So, you're successful. The second thing is free your imagination to explore all possible angles and solutions. So, in your endeavor, whatever it is, my endeavor is to create a social movement, political movement that makes society better for the mass populace of Americans and Tennesseans. So I try to free my imagination to explore all possibilities and solutions, and I got some you never thought about. All peaceful, nonviolent. Never look for excuses. Instead, investigate all possible solutions to your problems. Simply by seeking out answers, you'll ignite your imagination to develop unique, workable solutions. I think they just planned to bring that air blow over there to interrupt my show. So do not immediately judge those ideals that come to mind. Have the courage and the belief in yourself to consider all possibilities, even in extremely impossible situations. So consider all possible angles about what you want to be successful about. Don't immediately strike them out. The other thing is, number 3, be persistent and take action. Train your brain to take action. Train your brain to go vote. And on the solutions that you devise, one small step starts you on your small journey toward making your ideal a reality. Experiencing real results builds your trust in yourself and makes you a better problem solver. After taking your initial action, trust your instincts. Trust your instincts, and your next step will become apparent. Reward yourself for positive thinking by celebrating each time you successfully complete a task. Yeah, they just start that blower when I start my show. So yeah, they. Go figure. So, be persistent, take action. 3rd, deliberately speak positively. Remove negative thinking from your life by changing your interpretation of events rather than immediately focus on what could or did go wrong. So, we can't control circumstances. They go bad, they go south a lot. But given the circumstances, look at what good you can get out of it to go forward. So reframe how you think about things. Given that they're the way they are, we can't change everything. So, deliberately speak positively about circumstances you can't change in order to get stuff to move forward. Step outside your current environment, number 5. By changing physical environments, you can leave behind the baggage of how you have completed tasks in the past. Go out to a coffee shop or your backyard can help you think more clearly. So we read some ideals about how to be successful. The five ideals written by Roman Walter are: number 1, know that you're successful. Just by being here, you are. Number 2, is free your imagination to explore all ideals. Number 3 is be persistent and take action. And the 4th thing, he says, deliberately speak positively. And the 5th thing is step outside your current environment. So we covered all of those twice because people said they didn't hear me. So thank y'all for watching. We'll try to be back on here during the week, 6:45, and pray for the sheriff's deputies that are under indictment, regardless of they're evil or good. The Bible teaches to pray for our enemies, and they might not even be guilty. and pray for their families. Pray for this new sheriff that he'll do right. Pray for your safety of you and your family and friends. And thank the Lord God for the things that he gives to you. Some people overlook good things. They don't recognize God gave it to them. So don't just pray for good stuff. Pray for good stuff, and sometimes God won't give you the good stuff. He'll just change you. And when God gives you good stuff, thank God for it. Don't forget that important step. I've had a lot of answered prayer. Thank the good Lord in heaven. Get the word out from other states. Call people in the state of Tennessee. Your tax money comes here. You're liable to get charged with a crime from people here. They frame things and lie to you, and I have no other way of getting the message out substantially because they criminalize my leafleting in the state of Tennessee, and I pay for their lies, and so do you. So help me get the truthful message out about people in state government. And we'll be back on here. Subscribe to the channel. Help me get a lot of eyes on this channel. Put out the truth. They frame you a lie, sell you a bill of goods that's not true. People in government power. We are at war with people in government power. Now, ours is a political, non-violent war. Theirs is a violent war against you. And it is real, and it is ongoing, and it is a serious fight. You can ignore it, but it's going on. If you're looking for a fight for you and your rights in America, you found one. If you weren't looking for a fight, I'm telling you, you got one, whether you want to recognize it or not. Join this fight for yourself and Americans. I'm on the governor's ballot. I am in civil litigation, truthfully, against them. I'm on this channel reframing the truth against their lies. Help me get the truth out. Meet the deluded one to comment. Oh, I'm so hurt, I'm going to quit. Y'all don't understand. I mean, you're really stupid. Please sub, like, share. Thank you for that. Now, the more we fight, the more naysayers are in here. We got a lot of friends, a lot of people, and I thank you all. May God bless you all. We reached 100,000 people in one show, just the last broadcast. So we're getting the message out. We'll have another interesting, great show, putting out more truth, unbridled news next week. And let's get up to 100 likes. We got 94. Let's see if we got any more questions. Child runner, they're truly sending their best. Serve your country, I am. And I like that. Please like, share, comment. God bless America, amen. God bless America, amen. Meet the deluded one. Oh, you hurt my feelings so bad I'm going to quit. Y'all don't understand the fierceness of this important endeavor. So we'll be back on here next week to put out more truth. If there's news that comes up during the weekend, we'll put that out too. Live on the scene. I'm new to this channel, Gordon Anderson 4893. Welcome, welcome. And thank y'all. Like, share, donate, contribute, share. We got 94 likes. Let's get up to 100 likes. And we'll get off the channel at 100 or maybe more. And let's beat our record of 100,000. Putting out a truthful message. Nonviolent. If you missed the show, I'll read you the introduction to the show again. Frame, the real dark alley. People think framing and misconduct in government is rare. They point to one textbook case they were taught, the wrongful conviction, the overturned verdict, and they say, see it happened, it got caught, the system worked, it's fixed now. But I don't believe that. I believe inside these buildings, I've met these legislators, I've met these judges, I've met these police officers. I know how they operate when the cameras aren't in the room, not all of them, too many to count. You're taught to be afraid of the dark alley. Don't walk out there at night. That's where the crime happens. But the real dark alley is in this state, is in a corner dark alley. It's the back hallways of the courthouses, the judges' chambers, with the door closed, the legislator's office, the public session, after the public sessions ends. It's at the governor's mansion, in the room where nobody's taking minutes, nobody's filming the hallway. That's the actual dark alley, better lit, better dressed, and more dangerous than any street back alley that you're taught to be afraid of. It's the people in government power. And I walk through some specific cases and talk to you about how they frame things against you. So we got 95 likes. Let's get 100. And that was a show today. They frame things and sell you a bill of goods that's a lie. And you pay for their lies. Their legislative pamphlets. And I pointed out one that lie. Their legislative pamphlets you paid for tried to scare people out of voting. And that's what you pay for. They're framing lies. They get $3,000 each candidate to put out lies to you. And they lie. And they make it illegal and criminal and dangerous for me to pass out flyers contesting their lies with the trespassing laws that make it likely for me to get killed, and with littering laws that criminalize political speech against them. And that's what they've done in your government right now. And no other candidate's talking about that. Only me. No other candidate is saying we're at war with our own government, protecting ourselves from our government. I'm saying that. That's the truth. Not just a candidate seeking political clout, not for myself, for you. So we got 96. Let's get 4 more likes. And that's what this whole show has been about. Violence against you, propaganda against you, framing lies as truth against you, paid for you, by the government that's in power now. That's what's going on. They're dangerous to you. They're dangerous to me. And the way to contest that is through, they want to hear me say something else, but I'm going to tell you, through voting. Vote. Voters of truth and rage. Through voting. Now they have said don't vote. You paid for a flyer that told you not to vote. You paid for their propaganda that told you not to vote. That's just one of their flyers. $3,000 each government official gets in the state of Tennessee to put out false information to you. They criminalize me to stand on a porch and put a leaflet on your door that tells you that they're trying to scare you into not voting. Go vote. And they can't prosecute you for voting. Now that's what's going on in the state of Tennessee. Right here, right now, in this place and time. So thank you all so much. We've been on here 3 hours telling you that the government's lying to you. We're in combat, mortal combat against the government. Now our combat is political, nonviolent. Voting to turn around a government in your favor. Their combat is mortal combat against you, using fear and framing to demoralize, humiliate, prosecute, execute people, not just in Tennessee, all across the United States of America. So go vote. Elections in November. Call people if you're out of state to vote in Tennessee. And even if we don't win, we win. We take what we can and we build on it to make things better for the mass populace of Tennesseans. I have promised to go visit every county after elected. At least one city every month. Mostly every week, to listen to Tennesseans and do what you want me to do. That's a policy statement to fulfill the needs of the mass populace of Tennesseans in government, not to go to Bill Haslam's house and do what the hell he wants to do, which is to enrich himself and their cronies, and to frame it that they're benefiting you. They're liars. They're fraudsters. They're against you. 98, only 2 more likes, and we'll get the hell out of Dodge for now, or maybe we won't. So we're constantly thinking of new ideals to win or get political influence, and that's what this is all about. Getting political influence, political clout, pressure on the government to treat the mass populace of Tennesseans right. Because they're not now. That's not conspiracy. That's mainstream belief that they say it's conspiracy. It's not conspiracy. Got 98. Let's get 2 more likes. So I have on this YouTube channel, if you go in the description, I have a address you can click, you can hit, that will tell you, got 99, one more, that will tell you it's a page where you can report wrongdoing by the government, anonymous survey where you can report wrongdoing by the government. Click on that survey if you got any inside information, and if it's important, we'll go investigate it and point out how the government's mistreating you. And it's anonymous. No one will ever know that you did it. I've already got a lot of information. They're framing me right now. I got a information from people inside the Tennessee Highway Patrol that they're putting out negative information about me while in uniform. I'm not surprised. 100. Thank you all so much. 100 likes. Let's get some even more. So click on that link if you have some inside information and you want to remain anonymous. If you don't want to remain anonymous, then put your name on there. But I'm not going to report anybody that says anything, so that we can investigate wrongdoing by the government. People in Power, 101 likes. Thank y'all very much. We're going to get the hell out of Dodge. Everybody be safe. I'm trying to be safe. The government's better off leaving me alone and die a hero. They'll just kill. People will frame me as a martyr. They better leave me alive. And they're better off letting me exercise my First Amendment rights, because in jail, people know why I go to jail, not for speaking the truth to power. God bless y'all. You've been listening to Charles Van Morgan Unbridled News. We tell the truth. Nowhere else we hear this type of conversation. Share, help us get the message out. Thank y'all. And remember, God loves you and I do too.